Namaste. Psychoanalysis and philosophy, the positive unconscious. Traditionally, in psychoanalysis, we look at the unconscious as something dark or a reservoir of troubles. It is the dark continent of the unbearable. However, some say that there is also light where there is darkness. So let us explore this very interesting subject of lightness and darkness of the unconscious with our psychoanalysis consultant, Mr. Himanshu Vaidya. Namaste, Mr. Vaidya. Is there really a positive side to the unconscious?
Definitely there is. The unconscious is a reservoir of the good, bad and ugly. So the good is as much there is the difficult part of the unconscious. Unfortunately, the way the concept of unconscious got coined and used in the early part of its life, it was mostly in the sense of a pathological background of pathology. And therefore, the normal belief or the normal back of the mind idea is always to think of the unconscious as a negative place, as a reservoir of difficulties, and something to be afraid of, something to be set right, something to be free from, something which is the matrix and the ground of all troubles that we have. So we always thought of the unconscious, at least practically, if not conceptually, as a difficult place and not as a reservoir which has the good and the not good together. So we don't think of the unconscious as much as a positive place, as much we think of it as a negative place.
Can you tell us why has this happened in psychoanalysis? I mean, why has it been said as a reservoir of troubles and difficulties rather than something positive?
If we look at three aspects of human mind, the functioning in the pathological zone, the ordinary functioning in everyday situation, and supernormal talents or supernormal experiences, including rare experiences. If we look at these three aspects of the human mind, psychoanalysis essentially works in the first zone of understanding and healing pathology. And therefore, given the agenda that the discipline had, when it started on and even today by and large, we are not essentially a human potential movement. We are essentially a healing science even today. Given that being the focus, it is inevitable that the focus would be on pathology, its understanding and healing, when the roots of what we are focusing on are found in the unconscious. Naturally, when we look at the unconscious, we are looking at that as the ground of our difficulties. So it is from the objective of the discipline that when we have that objective, and with that objective, when we go inside, obviously we are touring the most difficult parts of the unconscious. We are not touring the good or the neutral parts of the unconscious. And that creates a situation where uh, the unconscious gets looked at primarily as a source of trouble.
So will it help if we really focus on the positive aspects also?
Surely it will help, because there are many positive aspects of the unconscious. And let us say, to marshal the superego strength or to enhance our ego strength or to enhance our affect tolerance or to use better the unconscious therapeutic alliance. or to use better the self-healing power of the psyche. If we understand these things better and we can manage them better, we can leverage the positive aspects of the unconscious for healing purposes. Similarly, for ordinary life, when we are looking at creativity, productivity, happiness, quality of life, some other aspects of the unconscious can be mobilized, leveraged to enhance the quality of life. So there are different aspects of the unconscious, some which psychoanalysis can leverage, which human resource management can leverage, and some which positive psychology and human potential movement and parapsychology can leverage. And different disciplines can leverage different aspects of the unconscious, different characteristics, different possibilities, different functioning which can be leveraged in different ways. So for our purpose, we can leverage the positive aspect of unconscious. We can do it, we can do a better job much faster.
So healing can be kind of accelerated and also maybe deeper and broader rather
Yes,
than just a problem solution kind of a healing situation.
right. We don't look at the unconscious only as a problem space. It's definitely a problem space, but it's not only the problem space. It's also a neutral processing place. It's also a positive place. It's also a healing place.
Right.
So when we take a more holistic view of the unconscious, that it is a place of good, bad, ugly, it is a place of pathology, it's also a place of supernormal capabilities. And when we take the entire holistic, real integrated view of the unconscious, we look at it very differently and we truly realize its potential, which by and large we don't realize and don't use.
So, is there any school of psychotherapy which has used this positive part of the unconscious in a very central way?
Uh, all schools of psychoanalysis use certain positive aspects of the unconscious. Some more, some less, but all psychoanalytic schools use to some extent. The use is not adequate, nor conscious enough, nor understood enough, nor leveraged enough, but the use is there. For example, that positive aspect of the unconscious, the healthy unconscious, which brings the person to therapy and sustains him in therapy. All schools of psychoanalysis are using that positive part of the unconscious. The positive transference, which makes the therapy so interesting and far more powerful than it can be otherwise. The ability to uh, have a positive transference and then introject back the omnipotent good object or a reliable good object. Second aspect of the unconscious, positive aspect of the unconscious. That part of the unconscious which pushes up material, because there is one part of the unconscious which holds back, disguises, and represses, and other part which pushes up. So that which part pushes up also is an important element that all psychoanalytic schools use. The outputs of the unconscious, be it free association, sleeps, dreams, are extremely important elements that we use. And uh, the self-healing potential of the psyche, that you do 10%, something else does another 20%. Or out of nowhere, something gets pushed up and comes into the session because it is so important at that moment. So all these are elements of the unconscious which are positive, which are used by practically all psychoanalytic schools. One school which uses them more than the other is the Jungian school, where the unconscious is seen more positively in the sense that it is the beholder of the program of life and individuation. So it is seen more as a meaningful place rather than a troublesome place. So in that school, you see the orientation toward the unconscious is slightly different and more positive, more open, not only open but committed to leveraging the positive unconscious.
Jungian school, as you said, has used it in a more central way, kind of recognize the positive aspect of the unconscious. Can you elaborate a little more?
Yeah, so let us look at how the positive unconscious manifests ordinarily and how the Jungian school uses very distinctly the positive aspects of the unconscious. So in the normal sense, the positive aspect of the unconscious comes up when we talk about creativity, when we talk about self-healing potential of the psyche, when we talk of unconscious therapeutic alliance, when we talk of positive transference and positive internalizations, when we talk about reminder, you have to remind yourself to wake up 10 o'clock at night and suddenly you wake up. You are thinking about a problem, you sleep over the problem and next morning it gets solved. The processing goes on unconsciously. Uh, you don't know to do something or not to do something and you get an intuition that you should do and you do and it works out well. Your parapsychological hallucinogenic experiences. Uh, you get dreams which are so profound, which are messages from the unconscious for self-knowing, self-healing and future living. You have transgenerational, transpersonal and transgenerational elements coming out from the unconscious. You have the entire area of art coming out of unconscious. Creativity comes out of the unconscious. Happiness comes, a lot of happiness comes out of the unconscious. Entire range of deeper aspects of happiness, the spiritual domain of delight, bliss, ecstasy, they all come out of the unconscious. So there is a, a basket full of positive entities that come out of unconscious, the positive as part of the unconscious. So that most people use knowingly, unknowingly in everyday life. And some psychoanalytic schools and non-psychoanalytic schools also use knowingly or unknowingly. And the Jungian school also uses it knowingly or unknowingly, like everyone else. But where distinctly the Jungian school leverages positive unconscious, positive aspect of the unconscious, part of the unconscious is in two ways. One, Jung's orientation is very teleological. So he is concerned primarily with the program of life and individuation. And the unconscious as a system is geared towards this teleological meaning. And that is a very unique way of looking at the unconscious, that it is not just a processing entity, which some good, bad, and ugly, but it's a purposive entity towards a goal and a meaning. And that's a very different way of looking at the unconscious. Not only that, it's a balanced view, it's more than a balanced view, it's a very positive view of the unconscious. And it sees more good than not good in the unconscious, and primarily the whole machinery is towards a goal of life, the individuation of the individual, of the individual. So when you look at it from that point of view, the structural view of looking at the model of the mind, the functional view of how the unconscious functions, the interpretation of the material the unconscious sends out, the way of managing and healing the unconscious, and leveraging unconscious for living. All of that takes a very different central and positive flavor in the Jungian school.
Are there any tools to explore and develop these positive aspects of the unconscious?
Tools are many. Unfortunately, most tools are not in the realm of psychoanalysis. They are more in the realm of holistic healing and spirituality. So in psychoanalysis, of course, there are some tools, but not many. You can look at the Jungian school in terms of active imagination. You can look at dream analysis in practically all psychoanalytic tools. You can look at technique aspects of leveraging the positive projections and internalization done by the unconscious. So there are tools of technique, tools of theory, tools of interventions, tools of giving some directions at times, not explicitly but implicitly. And these are some of the tools within psychoanalysis, but outside of psychoanalysis, we have a basket full of tools in the area of holistic healing and spirituality, which includes visualization techniques, deployment of art, meditation, active imagination, uh, mantra, certain rituals, yoga, certain forms of breathing, ingestion of certain herbal elements, as well as uh, now we also have tools of positive psychology. Positive psychology has created good tools, but in the realm of spirituality where I was, idol therapy and goal-oriented spiritual packages which are worked out, customized to an individual. So all these elements are either tools themselves or packages that put together many tools for the purpose of an individual. So in those areas, we find many tools and packages to leverage the positive aspects of the unconscious.
We come to our last question. How does spirituality really engage with these positive aspects of the unconscious?
Uh, in many ways, conceptually, spirituality talks about why essentially the unconscious has to be more positive than not positive. And that comes from the philosophical belief that essentially we are a soul in the body and the life has a purpose. And the world is neither meaningless nor a pessimistic place. In the ultimate analysis, we live in a very hopeful and optimistic universe and a very happy universe, regardless of what we are accessing at this moment. So the first is the conceptualization of life and the view of reality. And from that conceptualization, when you come to the unconscious essentially becomes a reservoir of karmic effects, of soul journey effects, and necessity of the universe effect at this point in time. And the potential, the space for potential for this life and the other. So from that point of view, the first thing spirituality does is, from a conceptual point of view, view the unconscious as a very positive place. With difficulties, of course, but primarily a positive place, conceptually.
But it's like from whatever little I know of spirituality, it never really talks of unconscious really as a concept, a separate concept. It
Yes,
kinds of comes into play while you are dealing with spiritual aspects. Is it?
yes, there are two words. One is avchetan and second is chitta. So when you look at the yogic model of the mind and you look at the chitta is a reservoir of all the past impressions. So that is crudely equivalent to the unconscious, but with the difference in the sense it's an unconscious not only which is of this life, but has traces of other lives. There's an element of karmic element also in there. So it is this life's unconscious plus the karmic effect plus the journey of soul effect, and all of that together is in the unconscious. So it's primarily a chitta. It's an unconscious plus kind of an entity, but the generic concept would be there in the model of the mind of those schools and in the path of spiritual development or sadhana, they would encounter those things as they start the inner journey. So they would not use strictly the word unconscious as we do, but they would factor that in a different way in their model of the mind and in their practices and experiences. So that is one part, the conceptualization of reality, of the purpose of life, and thereby the model of the mind and the unconscious that enhances the way one looks at the positive aspect of the unconscious. Second, spirituality looks at how to make use of this positive part of the unconscious in culture. How do you create cultural practices and structures so that this part is leveraged to its full potential? So that gives rise to cultural practices, festivals, social practices, rituals, and so on. Third is how to enhance it. So there you have all the basket full of tools of energy healing, of Reiki, of pranic healing, of mantra, visualization, rituals, idol therapy, yoga, and all sorts of things, substances. And lastly, it is to put everything to a positive purpose. So the moment you give a positive purpose to life, there is no choice but to access the positivity inside. And in the course of it, one also accesses the positive aspect of the conscious. And lastly, the goal of bliss. The limits of human potential are very liberal in spirituality. So unlike psychoanalysis, where we believe the goal is to reach normalcy, which is still going to be a, a combination of pleasure and pain, more pleasure, less pain. As Freud said, to make unbearable happiness, unbearable unhappiness, convert it into bearable unhappiness. So, in contrast to that, spirituality's view is far more liberal and positive. The limits of human potential are far ahead, far liberal, and therefore there is an idea that it's possible to go beyond pleasure and pain into the zone of causeless bliss and thereby be free from pain. And that also talks about there being potential in the unconscious that through certain practices and self-development, one can either restructure or tap into that part whereby freedom from pain and pleasure and establishing oneself in bliss, in a causeless bliss, is possible. So that being the goal of spirituality, it also not only accepts that there can be such a positive unconscious we can tap into or convert whatever is unconscious into such a positive thing, but leveraging that, either something natural or something cultivated, or a causeless bliss, that being the goal, for spirituality, there is no way it can proceed without the positive unconscious.
Okay, we end our discussion here. And it was truly a pleasure to talk about the positive aspects of the unconscious, which otherwise, you feel like it's something, a dark place, or, something to be avoidable and all that. So it was really enriching to understand unconscious in a more holistic, broader way.
In fact,
Thank you so much.
I think this is something that artists should be tapping. Artists have by and large tapped the negative part of the unconscious, but not enough the positive aspect of the unconscious, especially in painting.
Okay. So that's one more interesting point.
Yeah.
So I think it has helped us listeners to look at the unconscious in a very new light. I mean, as I said, not something dark and not something avoidable. And even as you said, artistically also, people can look at it positively, not as, art coming from the dark aspects of one's personality. Thank you so much. Do write to us at hvindia@gmail.com. Namaste.
Namaste.